Hi, this is Jeremy Schoonmaker, Pre-Sales Technical Consultant for the Channel MPS Group. In this video, I'm going to show you how to use the HP MPS onboarding tool to onboard devices to SDS Action Center using the Cloud DCA. As a quick reminder, SDS Action Center is a portal that HP partners have access to and they can use to improve their service outcomes of customers. And the MPS onboarding tool is a tool that we use to specifically onboard devices that we're going to be using the Cloud DCA for. And Cloud DCA is a new release from HP and SDS Action Center that allows for devices to be seen in SDS Action Center without any sort of on-site connector. So we're going to broker a direct connection between the HP device and HP's Smart Device Services Cloud. So there's not going to be any sort of on-site connector or piece of software that has to sit on the customer's network. This is going to be a direct connection between the device and the cloud. So I'm going to show you how to do that in this video. Now, you'll need to have, of course, access to SDS Action Center, and you'll have to have created a customer already. Once you've got a customer created, if you go into the Devices tab over here, you'll see a list of your devices. I have 3 right now, and we'll be onboarding another in just a second. But the new piece here is this cloud icon that says Onboard with HP Cloud DCA. Now this page is going to be really helpful. It's going to give you a couple things. First of all, it's going to give you a link to download this HP MPS onboarding tool. Again, this is a tool that you'll use in order to make these Cloud DCA connections. Here is also an installation guide for it, as well as a list of all the ports that are going to be needed to be open in order for these connections to work, both for the MPS onboarding tool, as well as if you click this button, this will show you all the endpoints that are needed for the device to continue to communicate over time. So once you've downloaded the MPS onboarding tool, this is a piece of software, and it's going to need to go onto a computer that's in the same network as the printers. Okay, that could be, by the way, in a partner's warehouse or an off-site pre-flight center, because these devices could be uploaded and viewable in the cloud and then moved onto another network. Once they get through the process of brokering this connection, that connection is persistent even if the IP address changes and it ends up on a different network. So you could do this in your warehouse and then again install it in a customer's environment, and that connection would be perpetual. So again, you're going to need to install this tool on a computer that's on the same network wherever it currently is in order to make this initial connection. I've already got this installed here, so we'll open it up. There's 3 options here, and for the purposes of SDS Action Center, you can ignore the first 2. Those are for onboarding into other cloud tools. We'll use this Discover Only option for importing into SDS Action Center. Now, there'll be 4 different discovery types. There's an explanation of each here. I'm going to do an IP range for this video, and I'm just going to do a small one. I'm going to go from 0.30 to 0.40 in my environment. If you have devices that have SNMP v3 credentials, this is where you'll need to enter them in. You can push this slider and then an SNMP v3 authentication details page will show up. You'll need to fill it out, and that way the onboarding tool can get the connection brokered appropriately. My device does not have SNMP v3 enabled, so I'm just going to go ahead and click Discover and start this discovery. Now what it's doing is it's going to ping all those IP addresses. It's going to verify whether or not those are reachable, and then it's going to look and see whether or not those are printers. So you see that there's a couple that are printers, but you'll also see ones that are reachable but actually are not printers. If it is printer, it's going to check and see what model number it is, what serial number it is, also what firmware version is running on the device. And you can see I've got at least one device here that's going to be not supported, so I don't have to worry about onboarding that. I ended up with 2 devices in this list that are possible to onboard. This first one's actually already in there, so I'm only going to check the box for the 3rd one. You could, of course, check this box at the top to select all, or you can check individual ones. So I'm just going to onboard this one device. I'm going to click Next. Now I need to provide proxy details as well as device credentials. So I'll start here with device credentials. This is the admin password or embedded web server password. So if you have one of those, you need to enter it in. If one has not been set, you can go ahead and just keep this box unchecked and you should be fine. Second is you need proxy settings. Remember that we're going to be talking between the device and the internet. So if there's a proxy server in the environment that's facilitating that connection between devices in the network and the internet, you're going to need to have the proxy server information. if you are onboarding a device that doesn't have a proxy server, like mine doesn't have a proxy server, my environment doesn't, but it's going to go into an environment that does have a proxy server, that's okay. You don't need to enter the information in now, but you will need to enter in that proxy information into the device when it gets in that environment. And you can maybe do that with WebJet admin or something else, but those proxy settings will need to be there so that we can continue to have communication between the device and the cloud. Again, for right now, this device is just in my office. There's no proxy server, so I'm just going to skip it. And then I'll click Start. Now this is going to check the device. It's going to make sure all the settings are in place. It's going to enable web services for me on the device. It was not enabled before, but it's going to go ahead and enable that. That's why it's taken a couple extra seconds here. And now the device is ready to onboard. So now I get to, again, check the boxes for the devices that I want to onboard, and then I click Export, and then I just download this file. Okay. Now, I saved that file into my desktop. It's a real simple CSV file, and what you'll see in there if you open it is you're going to see the model name. I think it's going to be the IP address and serial number, as well as a really long jumbled string that's an encrypted string. They call it the postcard of the device, and that's going to be all the information that's needed for SDS Action Center to find the device, communicate with it, and enable this connection. Okay. So now I go back to SDS Action Center, and I'm back here at this onboarding HP devices with Cloud DCA. I click Choose File. I choose that CSV file that just was exported, and then I click Upload. And this will happen really quick. If I immediately refresh this operations, you should see completed show up here. This is the one I did just now at 11:53. So that took only just a couple seconds. And now if everything went correctly, if I go back to my devices, now I have a new device and this device right here, which has now been onboarded into SDS Action Center. And then from there, you can manage that device in SDS Action Center just like you could if you had an on-site DCA. You can see the counters, the meters, you can use all the SDS features, and you can move on with that. You can upload quite a few devices at once. I don't know if there's a specific limit, but I think it's in the hundreds if it is, so you can do this for quite a few devices at once and upload them all at once. So that's the basics of how you use the MPS onboarding tool to upload devices to SDS Action Center using the Cloud DCA.